Hi, I'm Justin.
Also, I hate the way my voice sounds, so if you can do whatever Photoshop does to voices, make me sound awesome.
And this is my lovely friend,
The beauty in the eyes of the beholder, and it's just about getting into the seat of being the beholder.
Hayley.
I don't think you have to be particularly perceptive. I just think you have to look up.
This podcast is mostly just her telling me stories.
If you expose yourself to the possibility that this might be really awkward, there can be something just really cool on the other side of it.
She thinks that her life and way of looking at things are
Oh, I was kind of waiting on you. I thought you were getting your stuff ready. You're waiting on me?
pretty normal.
You got to edit out all the misinformation about the Amish.
Maybe you can relate.
I would like a chance to re-sing the Amish Paradise.
If you want lighthearted stories
All right, you want to talk about goats?
and stream of consciousness,
I just woke up and needed some friends, and so I bought them.
then you're going to like the Sunny Side Up podcast.
Sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up.
So, if you're at all like me, you may feel that you're living in a world that can be a bit overwhelming and confusing at times. I'm also a huge fan of podcasts, documentaries, docudramas, stories, and of just information in general. Between all of that and the social media and news, sometimes our brains can feel like they're on overload. Hayley and I hope that this podcast can be something of an antidote to all of that. Like little jello shots of joy and distraction. None of it is too serious or really too informative. Mostly it's just two friends who have conversational chemistry talking about whatever enters the minds of relatively ADHD people. We hope you enjoy. Speaking of conspiracy theories.
Love it.
Right. And like, this is the warning to all of those people that consider yourself semi-sane and don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, is don't look too hard or study too hard. Cause then it's the law of attraction or something. But okay. You are
Me?
a Bigfoot enthusiast. I don't think you're not a true believer. You're right. Or are you a true believer? Hey, you don't. The silence says it all, folks.
I mean, yeah, of course there's a Bigfoot out there.
Okay.
Why would we have so many different names for a Bigfoot across cultures?
Yeah.
And you didn't grow up watching The Legend of Boggy Creek.
I didn't.
Or else you too would be
and I went
committed believer, the same way you believe in a giraffe.
Right. Well, and I did get to with
differently.
you.
It's differently. It's different from believing in a giraffe because you've seen a giraffe. It's more like believing in a narwhal or a giant squid, a thing that we have slight evidence of but have not actually seen in person.
Well, yes, there is photo evidence though of a narwhal.
Okay, and also you've seen that Bigfoot crossing the arm back.
That's
the
true.
iconic pose. So
Yeah, which I always loved. There was that one great stand-up comedian who said that maybe Bigfoot is just blurry.
that would be amazing.
That would be so amazing.
He's just slightly out of focus all the time.
That's right. He's just blurry. That is his essence. But you, Miss Hayley, introduced me to the Bigfoot Museum, and I got to see a 13-inch turd from a Bigfoot.
Let's hope.
Right? Because if you meet that dude out when you're camping,
we got bigger problems.
Right, yeah.
We better hope that's from Bigfoot.
Oh my God, I thought for sure this had come from a Bigfoot. I'm going to need to sit down and reevaluate a lot of things right now. But yes, so barring that, Joe Sixpack laid well over a foot of turd, actually 13 inches. I think it was over 20. Was it closer to 2 feet? I think I'm underselling how long this turd was. It was amazing.
I had a photo of the exhibit, but I did not commit it to memory. So,
I'm much more probably fascinated with poop.
We're not far from there, and we could go back to just fact check. But Ellijay, Georgia, Cherry Log, Georgia,
yes,
deep Bigfoot culture.
Yes.
It would not be difficult to affirm
how long this thing was.
Yeah, and it's probably a part of the world where that's not the only Bigfoot specimen, bowel specimen floating around. I suspect there's people that have some in their own homes that they found and collected from the woods.
Well, and there was also at this same museum, there was a butt print. And when you see both
clear evidence,
certainly,
it's a fossil.
Yes, verified. Anyways, so we met a very strong believing a guy in there who was running the thing. He was a big believer in Bigfoot.
Oh. He was an enthusiast.
He was an enthusiast.
More fascinating than Bigfoot are the Bigfoot enthusiasts.
Yes.
They are their own.
They're magical. Okay, so where the story is leading now, I have no explanation for this. We've lived on this property, like, for a couple of years, right? And all I've ever seen are deer tracks, and I've seen a couple of coyotes running around, some foxes, possums, raccoons, kind of your normal.
Butt prints? Did any of them leave butt prints?
Ooh, I haven't been looking for butt prints, but if you don't look for it, you can't see it.
Exactly. And their lack of butt print does not mean that they don't exist. So
that's true.
Just keep that in mind.
That's solid, yeah. Because if you only saw deer prints and you didn't realize what all was there, you'd be like, oh, that animal doesn't have a butt, and it does. So you can't just I like that. It's very important. But so what happened is within a short amount of time, within a month of going to that museum, I found a solid print.
Thank gosh. I thought you were going to tell me that you found a poop specimen in your
I was
never. Braced. I'm so
I would
relieved.
have started my own museum.
I'm so relieved right now.
No.
Go ahead.
Yes. I found this print in the yard, and it was one of two things. It was either a bear or it was Bigfoot, because this was such a weird print. Like, it had, like, all of the digits.
If you recall the Bigfoot enthusiast at the museum, which I hope you never forget him.
I'll never forget him.
But all of his energy was in the explanation of the tarsal situation with the feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? It was maybe the thumb being at the toe or whatever. That's what to him, that was the entire basis of Bigfoot evidence was the tarsal structure of the hands and feet. Yeah. So, question to you, would you rather that be a bear print or a Bigfoot print?
Oh, that's such a Sophie's choice, right?
It's in your yard. So.
I know. Like, because, there's no good answer for that. Because, okay, so if it's a bear, it's just like...
Then you have a bear in your yard.
We have a bear in your yard. So it's like a mildly threatening large animal.
Depending on the bear.
Right. If it's Smokey, he just, like, delivers warnings about don't starting fires, and we're cool with him.
But, yeah, he's black
good.
Bear, you see a black bear, you just kind of quietly walk away, don't mess with her babies.
Right.
You see a grizzly bear.
But how many grizzly bears live near Atlanta?
Well, how many Bigfoots live near Atlanta?
This is my question. If you look on his map, though, at the Bigfoot Museum, there's a lot of dots.
That's true.
They have a map that shows all the sightings.
That's a lot. Yes.
There was a lot of dots around here.
And yet so little poop.
I want to know, if I meet Bigfoot.
Does he bury it?
Yeah, like, what are you doing with your massive poops, dude?
That was the question I had the time I got to sit next to the rocket scientist on the airplane. Yeah. And he's designing the Orion module, which was the technology or the basis of the technology for what we're going to use to send the astronauts to Mars whenever we head there. And,
I love that.
And I was like, well, thank goodness you're sitting next to me because I've had this burning question.
Yeah.
It's a long journey, dude.
It is.
What happens?
You can't hold it the whole time.
Right. Like urine, they just dispense it into space.
Right.
What happens to the poop?
Yeah.
I think they have to store it. You can't just turn that loose.
You can't just like incinerate it and then just go.
Oh, incinerating. I hadn't considered that. Can you incinerate in zero gravity with no oxygen?
I don't know.
Okay.
There's a Japanese toilet, though, that...
Those Japanese are so cutting edge with their...
They burn... Like, I learned this like a zillion years ago when I first got into construction when I was like 18 years old. I saw a Japanese toilet burning poop at that point and turning it into like charcoal briskets, basically.
Yes. Why don't we do that here?
I don't know. They're in the world of how to deal with waste, it's on the table. Or...
Are you going to use it like in your barbecue grill? Invite the neighbors.
Hey, Henry, this is some really dadgum good steak. What you cooking on? You don't want to know, buddy. Yeah, I've got a Bigfoot that runs around in my backyard, and so I guess the question now is: Did you talk to the astronaut about like when we're on Mars? Like, how we deal with like Bigfoot sightings there, or like what were your questions for the?
Listen, I have not had that conversation with him.
Okay.
But I am willing to. Do we want to have this conversation? It'll be its own.
It will.
It will be a whole conversation.
Because, like, if it's just like, okay, all over the world, a bunch of different tribes, back for thousands of years, people have been spotting Bigfoot. I'm still kind of iffy. If we start spotting Bigfoot, like, on other planets.
Oh. But see, we haven't spotted narwhals on other planets. No. That does not confirm or disprove the presence. More. You would believe more in earthly Bigfoot if you saw Martian Bigfoot?
Yeah.
That's unfair.
Because he's everywhere.
But not on a planet that doesn't have water. Look for him like on Titan.
Yeah.
Or Pluto, which I believe they said has volcanoes erupting water. I'm just looking for little bodies that have water. Assuming, I don't know why I assume that all life has to be sustained by water.
Yeah.
Maybe it's got Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Like, don't limit these planets. We don't know.
I need to broaden my definition of life and not be so close-minded with it. But
there was that movie, Idiocracy, and in 1,000 years in the future, everybody was drinking like Gatorade.
That's right.
So, and they seem to be fine. So
certainly, that's what the movie was about. How fine people were. It turned out to be more like a documentary than a movie. Unfortunately, that was an uncomfortable film to watch in 2020.
Right? Yeah.
Maybe something different.
Right. Oh man, that was amazing. Hello, lovely friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And it would mean the world if you would tell other people about this podcast and maybe even spam your social media accounts with just how much you're enjoying it. If you are, of course. Also, commenting and rating us on whatever platform you're downloading or streaming from is incredibly helpful to a little startup podcast like this one. On the other hand, if you are dissatisfied with your listening experience, please leave all of that hate on someone else's podcast. Just maybe to confuse them a little bit, right? But most of all, we hope you keep looking up and looking for the sunny side of life.